Hello everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Polity This Week by Drishti IAS. In this episode, we'll be discussing certain development which has happened in the field of polity in the last week. We'll try to comprehensively cover these areas. So let's start with the discussion. We'll be discussing 5 topics today. One is related to unified pension scheme. Recently, government has announced a scheme. We'll be seeing the features of this scheme. We will see how it is different from the existing ones as well. Okay. Then moving further, we'll be talking about the SC and ST Act 1989. Recently, Supreme Court has made a comment on this, and for that it is important for us to understand that what Supreme Court has meant by that. So we'll be talking about that, and we will be seeing a few features of the act as well. Okay. Then we'll be talking about section 479 of the BNSS, that is Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, which actually has replaced the existing code, that is CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code, which was earlier there. That has been replaced by the BNSS, and in that particular code we have this section 479, which is related to the provisions of bail, which we will be talking about. Then moving further, perspective on Rajya Sabha. So recently there was some elections in Rajya Sabha seats. So after that elections, new member has been inducted or elected in Rajya Sabha, and because of which there is a change in the math of the majority in Rajya Sabha. So we will be talking about that. We will also see who is the chairman, how elections are happening over there, what is the procedure. We will try to understand that. Okay. Then doctrine of repugnancy. Okay, we will be talking about this doctrine with respect to laws in Himachal Pradesh, wherein they have actually increased the age of marriage of females to 21 years. Okay, you know that there is this existing law in India which is saying that for females age is 18 years and for males it is 21 years. Himachal Pradesh has come up with a law, and wherein they have changed it or increased it to 21 years for female. Okay, so we will be seeing that this is a central law which is already existing. This is a state law. We will try to understand the doctrine of repugnancy with respect to this particular example. Okay. So now let's start with the first one, that is related to unified pension scheme. As I told you, recently government has announced a pension scheme, and the name of the scheme is unified pension scheme. Earlier we already have an existing pension scheme, that is national pension scheme. Now we will be understanding the key features of this scheme, and we will try to understand what is the how it is different from the existing schemes. Okay, so let's see first. Unified pension scheme, we will try to understand the key features of that. Okay, so there is this assured pension. Assured pension means that you will be getting pension, and that is assured that government will be providing you a pension. Okay, now here we will be seeing that there will be you can say 50% of the average basic pay from the last 12 months before retirement. Whatever pay you have drawn in the last 12 months before the retirement, 50% of that will be given to you as pension after your retirement. Okay, so that is one thing. Now what is the minimum eligibility criteria for this particular provision? That is 25 years. You have to spend 25 years in the service to avail this particular 50% pension. Okay, but if you have been there for 10 years till 24 years, or you can say that less than 25 years but more than 10 years, in that case you will be getting the pension, but that pension will be proportional to the length of service you have provided. Okay, so let's see, for the minimum 10 years you will be getting 10,000 as pension. That is the minimum assured pension. So minimum you will be getting that. Other than that, from 10 to 24 years you will be getting a proportional pension, which is, you can say, proportional to length of your service. Okay, so that is there. Then second is assured family pension. Okay, after retirement you are getting the pension, that is 50%. Okay, but after a certain time, if a person dies, okay, so the family or the, you can say, dependent or the spouse of that particular person will be getting 60% of the last drawn pension. Okay, so 60% of the pension they will be getting, and that is also assured. Okay, then assured minimum pension, as I told you, that is the guarantee that minimum you will be getting, that is 10,000 rupees, and other than that you will be getting 50% of the last drawn basic pay. Okay, so that is about the, you can say, certain features. We will be seeing some more. Before that, I would like to tell you the objective behind this particular scheme. That objective is the financial security and stability of a person after he gets retired. Okay, so that is there, provide financial security and stability with the guaranteed income stream for government employees and their families post retirement. Okay, so that is the you can say goal behind the scheme. Now there are certain provisions related to gratuity and the lump sum payment. So when we talk about this lump sum payment, so you will be getting an equivalent of 1/10 of your monthly emoluments for every 6 months of the service. Okay, for every 6 months, or you can say half a year. Okay, so let's say you have spent nearly 30 years in the service. So for every 6 months you will be getting a particular payment. So since 30 years you will be getting 60 such payments. Okay, so whatever 60 months you can say emoluments are there, you will be getting 1/10 of that particular payment. Okay, so let's say you have drawn an emolument of let's say 10,000 a month. Okay, so you will be getting that is 6 lakhs, and 1/10 of that you will be getting you can say 60,000 rupees as a lump sum payment at that point of time. This is just an example I'm telling you. Okay, now moving further, effective date, from which date it will come into picture, that is your April 1st 2025. Okay, now there is this option which has been given by the government that employee can go for the, you can say, choosing an option from the unified pension scheme or the national pension scheme, which is already there. Okay, so national pension scheme, which is existing, and the UPS, which is unified pension scheme. Out of these two you can choose any one, and one thing over here is that if you choose one, then you have to stick with that particular one. Okay, you cannot change it afterwards. Then moving further, inflation indexation, that is a feature which is there in this particular pension scheme, that there will be a correction with respect to the inflation. Okay, and they will be referring the CPI IW, that is CPI for the industrial workers. Okay, so accordingly they will be adjusting for the inflation as well. Okay, so these are the features of the unified pension scheme which has been announced by the government. Now we will be seeing the features of the old pension scheme. Now earlier you had OPS, that was there, old pension scheme was there, then there was this national payment pension scheme which was there, and now we have come up with the unified pension scheme. Okay, now we have talked about this, now we will be talking about the old pension scheme which was there earlier. Now here there was this assured pension which was same 50% of the last basic pay which is drawn. Now no contribution requirement. Okay, now when we are talking about the contribution requirement, here everything was taken care by the government. Government used to provide the pension from their own revenues. Okay, so whole burden was there on the government. Okay, so you can say that there was no contribution requirement. Inflation adjustment which was there in this one as well, now this is there you can say in the UPS as well. Okay, now moving further, unfunded. Okay, why this is unfunded? Because government is giving it from their own revenue. Okay, when we are talking about the national pension scheme or unified pension scheme, in these schemes what will happen is that, let's say there will be a fund which will be created, and the government employee will be contributing certain amount, let's say 10% or 12%, which will be decided by the government, and that he will be contributing that much, and the government will also be contributing, that is you can say 14%, and now they are talking about increasing it to 18.5%. okay, so this much amount will be contributed by the government, and this amount 10% will be contributed by the employee, and they will create a fund, and out of that particular fund they will be giving the pensions. But when we are talking about the OPS, there was these funds which are coming from the revenue itself, so whole pressure was there on the government. Okay, so that is there. Now limitation, this similar, that particular thing was the limitation, that the whole pressure was there on the government. Here you can see OPC was criticized for being fiscally unsustainable due to its unfunded nature, leading to substantial pension liabilities on the government. Okay, I hope that is clear with respect to the old pension scheme. Now we'll be moving to the next one, that is national pension scheme. Okay, now the whole pressure was there on the government, and that is why they have come up with the new idea. In this they have created a fund. Okay, in that fund they have defined a contribution there. Here you can see both employee and the government will contribute into a pension fund. So this is your pension fund, and now you will be seeing that here the 10% of the basic pay and dearness allowance which are contributed by the, you can say, your employee. So employee is contributing 10% and government will be contributing 14%. Okay, and now this government is contributing 14%, and they are saying that they might increase it to 18.5%, that is government's, you can say, contribution. So here you can say that there was this defined pension fund in which they are, you can say, contributing. So you can say defined contribution was there by the employee as well as by the government. Then second thing is no assured pension. Now in this particular scheme, what was there? There is no assured pension. Now whatever fund is there, now you have chose that this is the fund which we are creating, and out of this fund you have to invest somewhere, and as per the performance of this investment you will be getting the returns. Okay, so basically there were various funds, like here you can see there are pension fund managers which are used to provide these services, like SBI, LIC, UTI, HDFC, Kotak Mahindra. Accordingly, you can invest in any fund as per the risk category, from low to very high risk are there. If there is very high risk, that means there are chances that you will be getting more returns, but the thing is there is a risk which is very high. There might be a chance that these investment fund might not perform. Okay, so here there was no assured pension like that was there in the, you can say, previous scheme. However, the fund which you have chosen, okay, and this is performing however it is performing, accordingly you will be getting a you can say pension over there. Okay, now inflation risk was there because since it is already market linked. Okay, so here you can say it provides a market linked return. Okay, since it is already market linked, so there is no adjustment of inflation which was given by the, you can say, pension fund. Now it is funded because we have already created a fund, and that is why the pressure was not solely on the government. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now we can move further. Okay, so we have seen that there was this unified pension scheme which can be considered if we look at this particular, you can say, area over here. So there was this defined contribution which is there. Okay, and that was not there in the old pension scheme. Now when we talk about the no assured pension, in the national pension scheme we did not have the assured pension, but in the old one we had it. So they have actually combined the both of them. The defined contribution is there in the unified pension scheme, and the assured pension is also being given in the unified pension scheme. There is inflation indexing which is also being given in the, you can say, unified pension scheme. Okay, so I hope that is clear. The difference is also clear. Now we can move to the next one, that is your Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. Okay, recently there was this case which went to a court. Okay, there was this video in which there was some comment which was made, and accordingly there was a case which has been filed, and the victims actually gone for the you can say enactment of this particular act. Okay, so Supreme Court has seen the video, and they have seen that there is no direct reference to the caste or the identity of the people, and that is why Supreme Court said that every time if the victim is from the SC or ST community, that does not mean you will have to invoke this particular act. To invoke this particular act, the comment which is made or any kind of atrocity which has been done against that particular victim, that should be directly related to the identity or the caste or any kind of practice which is demeaning their particular community. Okay, so that is what Supreme Court has said. We will try to understand it from this particular write-up over here. Okay, now aggressor cannot be booked under 1989 Act merely because the victim of the insult or the intimidatory act is happen to be SC or ST person. So basically they are saying that whatever act is being performed over here, okay, or you can say any kind of comment which has been made or any kind of activity which has happened, okay, so it is not necessary that you have to invoke this particular act of 1989 just because the victim is belonging to a particular community. Okay, so not every intentional insult or the intimidation of a member of SC and ST community will result in the feeling of caste-based humiliation. Okay, so not necessarily there can be a genuine fight among the people. That does not mean you will be using this particular act. Okay, there can be there has to be a feeling of caste-based humiliation to invoke this particular act. Okay, now when this act will come into play, so they have given some certain guidelines here. The act would come into play if the insult had been intentional or very reason behind the intentional insult or the intimidation should solely be, first, the identity of the victim as a member of SC and ST community. Whatever insult or the intimidation has been given, that is solely because of his identity. Okay, so that is one thing. Second is due to the prevailing practices of the untouchability. Even our constitution is against this practice of untouchability that is given in the fundamental rights. Okay, then to reinforce the historically entrenched ideas like superiority of the upper caste and the lower caste, untouchables, etc. Okay, so if there is this you can say feeling, or if there is this indication which has been given with respect to the, you can say, upper caste and lower caste and the idea of superiority which has been propagated over there, in that case also you can invoke the Act. Okay, the notion of purity and pollution that has been used in the comments. Okay, so in these regards, if these are the factors which are there, in that case you will be using or invoking the Scheduled Caste and the Scheduled Tribe Atrocity Prevention of Atrocity Act 1989. Okay, now let's talk about the act itself. We have seen what a Supreme Court has said. Now we will be talking about the act itself. Here we will be seeing it is an act to prevent the commission of offences of atrocity against the member of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe by a person other than the SC and ST community. Okay, so that is one thing. This act will be used against the person who is not belonging from the SC and ST community. Okay, this will never be used between the two people who are who both of them are belonging to the same community. Okay, or this particular community, that is SC and ST. For example, let's say A and B, they are from SC ST community, both of them are from this particular community and they are fighting with each other. Okay, in that case this particular act will not be applicable. Okay, so that is one you can say thing. Second thing is the act has been enacted keeping in the view the express constitutional safeguard which is enlisted in the constitution, that is article 15, that is prohibition of discrimination. You know that article says that article 15 says that there are certain grounds only, or you can say solely on the basis of these grounds you cannot go for any kind of discrimination. Okay, one such ground is caste. So solely on the basis of caste you cannot discriminate. That is what is being given in the article 50. Then article 17, which is talking about the abolition of the untouchability. Okay, so untouchability as a practice that is to be abolished, that is given in the article 70. Okay, then 21 is talking about the protection of life and the personal liberty. They are talking about the life and the personal liberty. Fun thing, when we say life, the meaning here is the dignified life. Okay, so considering all these articles which are there in the constitution, they have come up with a law, that is Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Atrocity Prevention of Atrocity Act. Okay, now twinfold objective of this is to prevent the vulnerable sections, that is one thing. Second is to provide the, you can say, safeguard. Okay, so one thing we are going for the safeguard, second thing we are going for the relief and the rehabilitation. Okay, so if there is a victim who has been you can say somehow faced some kind of atrocity, for their relief also there are certain provisions which are given in the act. Okay, now some specification with respect to this act if we talk about, so it provides punishment for the offences of atrocity committed against the person of community, that is scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities. Okay, now this act does not apply to crimes committed between the SC and ST or between ST and SC. So as I told you that among the communities, if there is a act which is happening, then this act will not apply. Okay, so for this act to be invoked, it is necessary that one person is from the other community, okay, and not from the SC and ST community. Now there are 37 offences which are given in this particular act. Okay, and all these offences are basically cognizable in nature, and when we are talking about the investigation, that investigation will be done by a person or the police officer of the rank of DSP and not below that. Okay, so that is one thing, and the investigation should be completed within 30 days and the report should be sent directly to the director of the state police. Okay, so these are certain provisions which has been talked about in the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocity Act. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move to the next one, that is talking about the section 479 of BNSS, that is Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita. Now here there is this provision which was there in CRPC. The provision said that if a person is under trial and he has undergone the imprisonment, which is you can say half of the you can say sentence which is provided in the law for a particular offense, so in that case he will be given the bail automatically. Okay, so basically he does not even have to apply for that. In that case he will be given the bail. Now there is this provision which has been introduced in BNSS which is similar to it, but there are certain tweaks which has been performed. So let's talk about that. The court has said that this particular provision should be applied retrospectively and government agrees with that. Okay, now let's see section 479 of BNSS, maximum period for which an under trial prisoner can be detained. Okay, so the provision says, or the general rule which is saying that if an under trial has detained during the investigation, inquiry or trial for up to half of the maximum imprisonment term for non-capital offences, when we are talking about the offenses which are, you can say, which are there for the, which are providing for the life imprisonment or the capital punishment, etc. In such cases this provision will not work, and this provision is there for the normal imprisonments. Okay, so again let's read that. So if a under trial which has actually served the sentence which is half of the maximum imprisonment which is provided for an offense, in that case he will be granted the bail by the court. Okay, so here you will be seeing that court is granting a bail to a person who has served half of the punishment which is provided for that particular offense which he has committed. In that case, court will be granting a bail to that particular person. Now this provision is same in the CRPC as well as the BNSS. Okay, but the second provision which is given over here, that is the difference that has been you can say added recently, the special provision for the first time offenders. So this is the you can say provision which is there, which is talking about the half or one half of the you can say maximum punishment which is there in the law. But when we are talking about the first time offenders, okay, so in the case of first time offenders, the BNSS provide that you can serve the 1/3 of the, you can say, maximum imprisonment, and then the bail can be granted. Okay, so here you can see a first time offenders who has never been convicted of any offense previously should be released on the bond if they have served 1/3 of the maximum imprisonment term for the offense. Okay, so here in this case, normal cases, the you can say half of the imprisonment, and when we are talking about the first time offenders, in that case 1/3 of the maximum imprisonment which is there for a particular offense. Okay, so that is the difference between the CRPC and the BNSS. Okay, so this is what we have talked about, and the court has recently said that this provision should be applied retrospectively. Does not matter when the offense was happened, but the thing is, after the enactment of the BNSS, that was the 1st of July. So all these provisions will be applicable to all those people who has committed offenses before 1st of July as well. Okay, so for the every under trial which is there in the jails right now, this particular you can say section will be applicable. Okay, now coming to the, you can say when we are talking about the CRPC, this provision was there, so we will try to understand that where this provision was there earlier. Okay, so let's say before that, clarification on the retrospective application, which I have already told you. The Supreme Court sought clarification on whether section 479 applies to cases registered before July 1, 2024, when the BNSS came into force. In responding that, government has said that yes, that will apply to them as well. Okay, now moving further, comparison with the previous laws. As I told you, section 436A of CRPC talks about the same provision. What is the difference? I have already told you that in the CRPC there was no such special provision which was there for the first time offenders. In this particular BNSS, that is Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, we have such procedure. Okay, so moving further, we will go to the next, that is how is Rajya Sabha MP is elected. As I told you that we will be talking about the Rajya Sabha MPs and their elections, because there was recently 12 members which has been elected. Okay, there was this vacancy and they have gone for the elections. Now talking about the Rajya Sabha, this is the upper house. We know that Council of State is known as, and it is the, you can say, chaired by chairman or the chairperson. That is basically your vice president. And in case vice president is not available, then there will be a deputy chairperson. Okay, so that is there. Now coming to the composition of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so 4th schedule of the constitution deals with the allocation of seats in the Rajya Sabha to the states and union territory. Maximum strength when we are talking about Rajya Sabha, that is 250 members. Okay, and out of these 250 members, 238 are from the states and union territories, and 12 members will be nominated. These members will be nominated by president and as per the article 80. Okay, so these 12 members will be nominated. Okay, so that is the provision which I have written over here. You can go through it. Now moving to the next part, when we talk about the maximum strength, we have seen that that is 250. Okay, that is given. You cannot have more than 250 members, but then we have the actual strength as well. So that is basically 245. Now 245 as of now, if we see, that is the actual strength of the Rajya Sabha. Okay, out of which 225 members are from your states. Okay, 8 members are from your UTs of Delhi, Pondicherry or Puducherry, and Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so that is there, and we have seen that there are 12 members which are basically nominated by president. These nominated members are from the 4 streams, that is basically literature, science, art, and social service. These members will be nominated by the president. Okay, now the representative of the states and that of the union territory in the Rajya Sabha are elected by the method of indirect elections. Okay, for the elections of them we have indirect elections. Okay, there is this proportional representation will be there, and a single transferable vote process will be used for the elections. Okay, now talking about the state representation, so the state assemblies, state legislative assemblies will be there, and they will be voting for the members of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so and the number, or you can say number of seats will be decided as per the population, that is basically you can say the proportional representation. Okay, then coming to the union territory, for union territories there is this article 80 subclause 5 which is talking about the procedure, and parliament has been authorized for the procedure of election with respect to the Rajya Sabha in union territory, and parliament has parliament will be actually going for the special electoral. There will be a special electoral college which will be you can say made for the elections only. Okay, so you can see representatives are elected by the electoral college especially constituted for this purpose for each union territory. Okay, then union elections will follow proportional representation with single transferable vote, which we have already seen, and only Delhi, Pondicherry or Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir are having representation in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so this is about the way elections are happening. Now coming to the next, that is the duration of Rajya Sabha. As you know that Rajya Sabha is the chamber which cannot be dissolved. Okay, so what happens is that every 2 years 1/3 members, every 2 years 1/3 members will be actually going out and they will retire, and the new members will be elected. Okay, so that is every 2 years. But the thing is, if you talk about every 2 years, if 1/3 is going, so one particular member is staying there for you can say 6 years. Okay, so that is what has been given in the you can say Representation of People Act 1951, which is saying that the term of Rajya Sabha member is basically 6 years. Okay, then when we are talking about the chairman, we have seen that the vice president of India will be the chairman of Rajya Sabha, and when he is not there, the deputy chairman will take over. Okay, now moving further to the next one, that is Himachal Pradesh passes bill to raise women's marriage age from 18 years to 21 years. So this particular act which has been done by the Himachal Pradesh State Legislative Assembly, so basically they have increased the age from 18 years to 21 years for females. Okay, that is the age of marriage. But you know that we already have a Prevention of Child Marriage Act which is saying that the minimum age for the marriage of a male should be 21 years, and for female that should be 18 years. Now since we have a Parliament's Act which is already there, now they have actually come up with the amendment to that act, and they have state has made a law with respect to that. So you can say that there is some kind of repugnancy which is there, because Parliamentary Act is talking about 18 years and 21 years, and this State Act is talking about 21 years. Okay, so that is basically the repugnancy is there over there, because when we talk about the repugnancy, that means that whatever inconsistency is there, whatever gap is there, or you can say how it is different from the Parliamentary Act. Okay, in such cases we have this doctrine of repugnancy. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now here you can say the doctrine of repugnancy deals with the conflict between two pieces of legislation which when applied to the same fact produce different results. Okay, so basically here they are saying that two pieces of legislations which are applied to a particular same facts, that is, let's say marriage is a fact which is happening. Okay, now one statute is saying that there should be you can say age of female, that is 21 years, and the second one is saying that is 18 years. So they are producing different results over there. So that is basically called the repugnancy, or you can say that is called the inconsistency which is there. Okay, now what is doctrine of repugnancy? The concept of doctrine of repugnancy that is derived from the Constitution, Article 254. Okay, now Article 254 of the Constitution deal with the inconsistency between the laws made by the Parliament and laws made by the state legislature. Okay, now it is given that when we are talking about if there is a law which is made by the state government and the you can say Parliament, that can only happen in the case of concurrent list. You know that. Okay, concurrent list which is given in the 7th schedule is the only list in which both Parliament as well as the state legislature can make the law. Okay, now if they are making the law in particular case, when they have made a law on a single matter, both of the, you can say, authorities has made the law on a single matter, the law by the parliament will prevail. Okay, so that is there. But there is one you can say provision which is exception to that, which is given in the 254 clause 2, which is saying that if this law by the state is being given the presidential assent, in that case the state law will prevail in that particular state. Okay, so that is given in that this particular article 251 clause 1 and 2. So you can go through this. Here I have actually wrote this, whatever I have explained over here, that there is concurrent list in which both state as well as parliament can go for making the law. Okay, as per article 254 clause 1, if there is any kind of inconsistencies there, then the state's law will be void, their parliamentary law will prevail. Okay, but if the state's law with respect to that particular, you can say, repugnancy or the whatever provision which is inconsistent, and then they actually the governor of the state, which is, you can say, keeping this particular law for the consideration of the president. Okay, in that case, and president is given has given the assent, so the state law will be prevailing in that particular state. Okay, so that is the doctrine of repugnancy. There is one more thing I would like to discuss over here, is that article 200. Now article 200 says that governor, when a bill is presented to him, can have different power. One, he can give the assent. Okay, second thing is he can, you know, send it for the reconsideration. Okay, and in that case, after the reconsideration, when the legislative body is sending it back to the governor, then he has to give the assent. Okay, but third power is given, that he can reserve it for the consideration of president. Okay, so he can reserve it for the consideration of president, but in case where act is there which is having provision which are contrary to existing state parliament's law, okay, in that case he has to, you can say, reserve it for the president's consideration. Okay, so let's say if there is a provision which is against the parliamentary law, in that case he has to actually reserve it for the president's consideration. Now president will decide on that. President can give the assent, president can send it for the reconsideration. Even after the reconsideration, president is not bound to give the assent. Okay, I hope that is clear. We have discussed already 254 clause 1, and we have seen the exception as well. Now we can move to the last part, that is basically a test in which we will be, you can say, attempting certain questions. So what percentage of the average basic pay from the last 12 months does the assured pension amount to? Okay, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%. Okay, so that is with respect to your UPS, they are asking you. So you can attempt this question and answer in the comment box. Next is, which article of the Indian Constitution abolishes untouchability and provides for its penalization? That is article 21, 15, 17 and 19. Okay, so you can answer me in the comment box. Moving further, what does section 479 of BNSS primarily deals with? There are 4 options which are given: right of convicted prisoners, maximum period for which an under trial prisoner can be detained, provisions for capital punishment, guidelines for investigation procedure. Okay, now moving further, question number 4. Which article empowers Rajya Sabha to authorize Parliament to legislate on the subject in the state list? Article 249, Article 312, Article 67, Article 356. Okay. Now the last question, which is question number 5. Which article of the Indian Constitution provides the governor the power to reserve a bill for the consideration of president? Okay. That is article 123, article 200, article 254, article 213. Okay, so I hope these questions are clear. You can directly answer me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Have a nice day. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.